You're live streaming now?
It's working on it. Yep. It'll start before the meeting. Yep. Looks like it is.
Oh, I
It
thought
does
it's
seem-
You're live streaming now?
We're live streaming now. Yes.
It's working on it. Yep. It'll start before the meeting. Yep. Looks like
Okay.
Mia, let me know when you're ready to start and I'll hit record.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for attending the meeting. So I think now we have 78 participants. Let's get started, shall we? Okay. So welcome to the Brooklyn Tech PA November general meeting. So please, everyone, mute yourself to keep the meeting smooth. This is the first virtual meeting. So if you have any suggestion or any comments, you can leave your comments on the chat. And there's another session is on Q&A. So if you have any questions you want to raise, please leave your questions in Q&A box, not the chat, because the chat probably would be, like a lot of comments there, message there, so we cannot get through all the questions. So if you leave the questions in Q&A box, then we'll make sure we'll get to that. And we will answer all the questions at the end of the meeting. Mr. Newman will join us, but he has a meeting right now, another meeting, and he will join us later. I will let you know when he's joined. So he's joining, and let's go through the agenda first. We will have the co-president report. So Tiffany will do the president report today. And then Ken will do the treasurer's report. And every committees will have their updates. We have a lot of updates because there's a lot of events going on. And then we have two speakers from school, Miss Monica and Mark. And then we have another guest. We have two guest speakers. It's the school leadership team co-chairs. And the last one is the Q&A with Miss Mary Hoon, our parent coordinator, and then our principal, David Newman. So that's most of the agenda today. Tiffany, are you ready for the report?
Yes.
Okay,
Do you hear me?
have the floor.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. We just wanted to address the clarification of the funding because there seems to be a lot of confusion with particularly the club funding. So we raised it from, I believe it was 25,000 last year to 100,000 this year. And a lot of people keep asking, how do clubs get funding? And why haven't clubs gotten funding? So I'm sorry, somebody. Okay. So the club fair only took place in late October. So clubs weren't even full. You know, they didn't even have their rosters. They didn't know what they needed pretty much because they didn't know how many students they were servicing. So now that the clubs are well on the way, understand every club has an advisor. There cannot be a club in the school without an adult advisor who's also a staff member. And all clubs are registered through the CTC, the Club Team Council, and that's with the COSA. And, you know, that's how they get funding. That's how they register their clubs. They get, you know, their time, their day, their location. So everything goes through the CTC. Students and parents cannot request or receive funding. Everything goes through the advisor. So what happens is the advisors itemize their request. They have to say exactly what the funding is used for. And Principal Newman actually approves or declines, you know, certain things we're not allowed to fund as a school, as a PA. So Mr. Newman, because there is a budget for the school, he gives money, you know, to the clubs. And then after, if they're still, you know, not every club is fully funded or they still find that they need more, they can come to the PA and the e-board members will make a decision of, you know, which clubs we can fund and how much we're going to fund. Mia, can you go to the next slide? And I just wanted to point out there are several ways that clubs get funds from faculty grants, which is through the Alumni Foundation, which we actually partner with them. And in June, I believe every June, you know, it's decided which clubs and teams and academic programs are going to get funded. But then there's also the teachers' wish list that Shani will be talking about tonight. And then club-sponsored fundraisers. Clubs are free to host their own fundraisers. So there are several ways that clubs can get funding. And the PA is also, of course, these are additional ways, but the PA, of course, has funding for the clubs. But I just wanted to make everybody aware that these are all the different angles, but a lot of people keep saying how and why. And when and where, and it goes through the advisor. Every club has student executives and the advisors. So parents don't need to worry, and the students in the clubs don't need to worry. It goes through the advisor. If they have concerns and questions, they can ask the advisors directly and their club executives directly, but everything has to go through, the club advisor, who's also, like I said, a staff member of Brooklyn Tech. Parent-teacher conferences. The deadline passed, I believe it was Sunday at midnight. If you still didn't get signed up, or you have some issue with like scheduling, you just couldn't make the times available, we suggest just reaching out to the parent. Each parent can reach out to the students' teachers directly and try to schedule something, a phone call. Emailing is great. You can email through Jupiter. But for the conferences, you have to add your email and phone number in the comment section for each meeting. If you signed up for 5 meetings, you have to add your email and phone number to each of those 5 meetings. You should also indicate if you need translation services and which language. You should check. I personally got an email today, so I got the Zoom links, but you should just go into the system and check. Some teachers have already added Zoom links, so to click the Zoom at your scheduled time. But if there's no Zoom link, you should then expect a phone call. And I just said note that it may come from a private number. So if you see a block number or a private number, still pick up, because that may be the teacher calling. One thing that has been going on in the chat, I see a lot of people talking about the vending machine. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that there are no more vending machines for snacks for the 2023 to 2024 school year. This wasn't a decision from the school. It came, from the DOE. Apparently they're getting a new contract and a new vendor. But as of now, there are no more vending machines in the schools for snacks. I believe they're still serving drinks, but not snacks. So students are advised to bring a snack to school, because we don't have out lunch. So students should bring something from home or come with money and stop by a deli on the way to school. The students can also leave school at 9th or 10th period when they end, and come back at 3:30 for clubs. If they wanted to run out and buy something. But understand there's no more snacks in the vending machines at schools. It's not the school's decision. So all we can do is advise students to bring snacks if they get hungry throughout the day. And I'm going to hand it over to Ken for the treasurer's report.
Yeah. So before Ken, I have something to add. Yeah. So that's we had 7 events for the breakfast and dinner with Principal Newman, and thanks to our VP of volunteers and events. That's Sarah and Annie, and also our board members. It's actually a lot of work. I really appreciate what they have done, and we still have more new dates added. So please check out the Tech Talk to see if you wanted to add it, if you wanted to join. So that's yeah, that's the most of I wanted to add. And also we had online mental health training, and many people expressed that they wanted to join, but they're not available at the time. So we are going to have another one. It's in-person training. It's an 8 hours training. So that's it could we are planning it. So it's we are aiming to be in December and January. So check out Tech Talk and stay tuned. We'll let you know. Yeah. So Ken, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Tiffany. Can you flip one slide? Thank you. Okay, so I'll try to be quick. I know finance is probably not the most exciting thing in everyone's mind. For the month of October, our revenues increased by about $16,000. to reach $52,000 in total. Again, I just want to thank every one of you. This is happening only because of your generosity and your support. So again, on behalf of the PA, thank you for your support. And at $52,000, we are at 16% of our fundraising target, 1/6 at the end of this month. Our fundraising team will talk more about it down the road, so I won't say much over here. Turning to expenses in the red bars, our spending also increased by $2,400, mainly because of hospitality events like the ones that Mia mentioned, breakfast and dinners with Principal Newman, and refreshment that we provided during the last PA meeting, the wonderful pizza that we all enjoy, I hope. And as you can see from the graphs, our total revenues are still behind our total spending, resulting in a deficit of $32,000. The good news is that the deficit is getting smaller, but we have several large spending anticipated in the coming months. And as I said last month, it is kind of depressing to present deficits all the time, but I hope in the near future I can turn it into it can be a profit for me to present. And as of October 31st, our cash reserve is $448,000. I forgot to mention this earlier. Our full treasurer's report is always published on our PA website. I prefer to summarize the numbers in graphs so it's easier for people to understand. So we don't have to look at 50,000 lines and looking at different numbers. But I will put the link in the chat. You are more than happy to look at our report. And if you have any questions right now, feel free to let me know. With that, I'll turn it back to Mia and Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the committee updates. First one is the fundraising team. Ting and Leslie, which one are you willing to speak first?
I speak first. Hi, this is Ting. In the fundraising team, this month we're working on the merch. We're trying to get the new merch team going for Lunar New Year, and also for the regular merch to sell as well. We're looking on to open an online store for merch as well. So our team is working very hard at it. The other thing we're working on right now is to gather the sponsorships and the advertisers for our Lunar New Year and Spring Gala. And we already have a couple sponsors already verbally committed, and some of them already paid. So we're gonna, if you know anybody who wants to advertise with us on our journal and want to sponsor our Lunar New Year and our Spring Gala, please contact me, and we would love to have their help. And that's what's going on with me right now.
Thank you, Ting. So then I'll move to the next one. I just had to update to VP of events, but I'm not sure if Sarah is here. If Sarah wanted to speak, you can step in. But next one is VP of the diversity, Sharon and Kim.
Hi, Mia.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. We were hoping tonight to announce the winner of our Lunar New Year t-shirt design contest, but we're going to have to wait until Sunday in Tech Talk because we currently have a tie. So we're waiting for a few more executive board members to vote. We had some wonderful designs come in, and we want to thank those students for participating. And is there any, you want to turn that down so I hope we're not causing an echo to you guys, sorry. But we're very excited about that. Again, Lunar New Year is going to be February 16th. But prior to that, we're very excited. Really, it just happened yesterday. The Diversity and Community Engagement Committee is going to partner with the culture clubs. We have multiple culture clubs at Tech. And there's going to be a culture fair. It was going to be next week. We postponed it so that we can work with them. We're going to have food and music, and parents will be welcome. We're going to have details for you as soon as we have a date for that. That'll probably be our next event. And then we're hoping If it falls in December, we'll probably postpone any type of December holiday event and have a New Year's event. And then we also have big plans for Black History Month, maybe a film. Will again, all these details will be in Tech Talk, but as these events get closer, we'll also send out standalone emails so that you have that information. But just the Lunar New Year is Friday, February 16th. You're going to be getting a lot of information about that in the coming weeks. And if you have any questions, I'm going to ask Vito to put the email address in for the diversity committee. Please feel free. I can't see it. I'm on my phone. Sorry. We're in the same house and sharing here. So if you have any questions at all, please email us. Sharon, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Yes, so I'm just adding the timeline. Like we were planning to start selling the tickets from the beginning of December. However, in order to cooperate the Giving Tuesday, so we are going to postpone the ticket selling maybe till mid-December. And please, stay tuned in TED Talk. Yep. And other than that, for this Lunar New Year, we have a lot of volunteers. From last year, we have 44 parent volunteers and 33 student volunteers to help the event. And these, most of the volunteers, actually, they were there before I joined the committee. So we have the existing volunteer pool to use, and then we add every year. We do have 2026, 2027 parents add in, they contact me, they say, hey, can I help? So which is good. So I appreciate, thank you for all the volunteers to help the event being successful. Hey, thank you. Oh, one more highlight actually. Last year we have about 50 alumni join the event as well. So this event is not only connecting the existing parents and students, but also the alumni family. We were happy to see them, and we even see Stanley Ng, who had been a parent maybe many years ago. So I think that's a plus. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon and Kim. And the last year, actually, the previous, the formal presidents also joined us. So I hope I can join you next year.
You have to, Mia. You have to.
Graduated.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to. So I think even my children will graduate in the future. I will return. I would like to see the new parents, and we can share some idea, maybe feedback, suggestion. It's good to see Hack family grow together.
Yes, that's a wonderful event. So everyone do stay tuned and buy the tickets.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
next
also,
one.
sorry. And also, if you would like to contribute something like if you want your kids to perform on the stage, you can also email to our email address, diversity email. So it's good to see everybody from any groups can perform on the stage and share with us.
Yes, so this event is a Lunar New Year celebration, but actually not just for Asian culture. So last year we have parents and the students from various backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, to perform on the stage. So we really welcome any performance or any cultural things that you wanted to present in the event. So yeah, welcome, and we hope you can join us.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, so next one we are going to ask Shani, but she's our senior rep, but she said that her connection is cutting in and out. But I'm not sure. Shani, are you here? Oh.
Hi, can
Shani.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to turn on my camera because my internet connection is terrible right now. So what do we have coming up? So we
okay.
can you, yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. So just go ahead. I think we need to update on the essays, the essays writing and also the teacher wish list.
Yes. So the college essay program just recently completed the first round for all of the early decision and early action students. We had approximately, I think, over like 200 kids participate in the program. They are doing another onboarding session tomorrow night for the kids who are doing regular decision. So we will continue the program until the end of December, until every single, senior has turned in their college application, essentially. So they'll be there to help you do that. Even if you guys miss the onboarding, they will be able to still, reach out to the Air Writing Center and be able to log in and find editors to help them through the process. The teacher's wish list, we just sent out the notice to all of the teachers and the staff, and we already have about 15 responses, teachers requesting items to their wish list. We will keep the forms open for the next 2 weeks so that teachers have, time and opportunity to add things and request things. And so we are looking forward to another really successful giving year with the teachers.
Great. Yeah, so I just saw there's a email sent out to senior parents, and I think students should also receive that one too for the essays, edits or service. So please ask your kids for seniors parents, please ask your kids or you can check out the email and do ask your kids to sign up the service. I think that service is great. It definitely will help for it's definitely helpful for your kids. So
and it's free.
Yes, it's free. It's not free. It's free to parents and the kids, but PA pay for it. Yeah,
that's
and
true.
PA pay for
That's
it.
true.
So yeah, don't waste the opportunity. Is there any other board members wanted to update your work? No? Okay, if not, then I will invite our guest speakers. First one is Miss Monica Robinson Bynum, freshman COSA. Is here? Is she here? I'm not sure.
I'm here.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. I was invited here simply to introduce myself. My name is Monica Robinson Bynum. I'm new to the COSA office. Our COSA office is located on the 7th floor, 7C1, in the center of the cafeteria. I'm new to the position, just like the freshmen are new to the building. I'm the freshman coordinator of student activities. I am currently in the office with 2 other COSAs. We have Miss Massey. She's responsible for the juniors. And we have Mr. Velasquez. He's working with the seniors and the sophomores. We have Mr. Kalen. The office is named after him. He's been working with Brooklyn Tech, I believe, for more than 35 years. And we have Miss Alette Allende. She's our community service associate. I welcome any emails that you may want to send if you have questions, that may assist your freshman children. If you have any other questions, I can do my best to field your email to the proper person. Again, this is my first year in the office. And I will put my email in the chat. And if you have any
Can
questions.
you guys turn the chat on? I'm sorry. Can you turn the chat on? There's no chat.
They should ask questions in the Q&A.
Okay. That's fine.
The chat is on. I can see it.
I can't see it.
I see the chat.
I cannot chat. It says chat
Yeah, it
disabled
doesn't
for me.
allow us to ask
Okay,
questions.
so I think Vito, can you make Mary co-host?
Well, not just me, parents should sign in on the chat also, don't you think?
Yeah,
So
we can
when they
see the
sign in,
chat.
there's already name on it. They don't
Well,
need
it
to
says-
sign in through the
It
chat.
says we can see it, but we're not allowed
Oh,
to
there,
type.
it's on
open.
now.
Okay.
I mean,
It's on now.
for me, I don't know if it's on for everybody.
Yeah. Anybody who doesn't have their name, that's just some version of it, I'm putting them in the waiting room and I'll help them out. I'll try to walk them through it, or they could watch it on YouTube. Please don't put anybody in unless they have their full name, if you're a co-host.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Monica. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just thought if people want to ask questions, then they will now be able to.
Yeah, but I think we'll leave all the questions at the end. And if you wanted to have raise question, please leave your question in the Q&A section. There's a one box, Q&A. So don't leave your questions on the chat, otherwise you will not be answered. Okay, Monica, are you done with it?
I'm done. Thank you for having me. Have a great evening. I put my contact information in the chat.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Have a great
next
night.
time. Oh, hold on a second. I just don't know how to go back to the speaker. Yes, speaker. Still there, right? Okay. Our next speaker, our next guest speaker is Mr. Mark Rodriguez, AP of Engineering and Technology and CTE. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And before anything else, I just want to thank this Parents Association group for being, first of all, super generous with the Parent Association wish list. That goes a great way to giving kids resources in the classrooms that they need. And also just in general for your support and being a partner in your child's education. I think the children notice that when you're committed to their education, to have such a well-run group like this, that they themselves take their own ownership and pride in their education. And that's really important and goes a long way for us at Brooklyn Tech. So I'm just gonna a brief, I guess, introduction, but really I'm in charge of engineering, technology, and CTE. So what does that mean? That means about 5 of the majors and the computer science principal course, which all sophomores take. So the majors that are under my supervision are the civil engineering, the aerospace engineering, mechatronics, which is like the robotics engineering, software engineering, electrical engineering, and again, that AP computer science principles that every sophomore takes. So, okay, what are the fundamental, that's a lot of technology and engineering in there. And that's important because that's one of the fundamental pillars of Brooklyn Tech. So while your students are learning things like theoretical theories and formulas and equations and things like that, we also pride ourselves on having a history of teaching people applied information or applied skills, applied knowledge. What that means is your students are learning things that people do in industry. So they're not just learning, the formulas behind a civil engineering building. They're learning how to test concrete for its toughness. They're learning how to do surveying. They're in mechatronics. Instead of just programming robots to go in one direction or another, avoid a wall or something like a Roomba or anything like that, they're also manufacturing the robots, the parts necessary to it. So they're using computer integrated manufacturing equipment. So they're really getting a hands-on education that's really chock full of experience that students usually don't receive until the 3rd or 4th year of university, right? And even after that. So another part of this is the CTE program that parallels all the different majors that I just mentioned before. So that CTE program, for all the different majors, and there's 3 more majors too that fall under another supervision, the visual arts department. But that also gives us access to state resources, which gives us the ability to give your students internships, right? To be really competitive and have sort of a first chance at an internship with an actual company that's doing the things in the majors, right? So that means working at an architecture firm. That means working at a technology firm that's using software engineering. And that's really important because your students, your children are getting these experiences way before most other students are in colleges. So our students at Brooklyn Tech are super competitive when it comes to being able to enter the workforce. And for our students, which mostly go to college, that means that by their freshman year, they're already in the career centers of their colleges competing for internships at very prestigious firms and getting great hands-on experience. And that CT program brings a lot of, brings some funding in, along with the PA wish list, along with the Alumni Association, which is also very generous with our programs. And it allows us to bring, up-to-date and, very cutting-edge equipment and materials that the students use. And that material doesn't always just, end up in one of those 5 majors that I'm supervising. It also boils down and trickles down and falls into the AP Computer Science Principal course. So what you're going to see in that course, and if you've gone through it before, perhaps you have experience with this, or you have a child who's a sophomore right now or a freshman coming up, they're going to get hands-on, they're going to get teachers who have industry and hands-on experience working with software and technology. And that's not just about, hey, let's learn programming because it's neat. It's really become an issue these days about literacy, right? Because without technology literacy, without computer science literacy, without those kind of things, society's at a disadvantage. And we know what happens when there's a lack of literacy. So really we want to get...
of business is...
Oh, sorry. So I'll cut it short. So I just want to introduce you to some of the things that I supervise. And I'm really proud of our program. I'm pretty proud of our teachers. And more importantly, I'm proud of our students who are doing an amazing job at stepping up to the plate and learning all these cutting edge, great industry technologies and earning different certifications that usually take people years to achieve. And they're doing this all before they step out of high school. So rest assured, what I'm really committed to, being a graduate of a specialized high school, I understand how, your experience at Tech or any specialized high school is wonderful, but I want it to be wonderful years after the fact, right? So a lot of students are coming back, they come back to our program, they come back to me and say, Mr. Rodriguez, that stuff that we learned in this class in senior year, like I'm doing it now at work. And they're amazed that I know that. Or students who are in internships now find themselves, getting more responsibilities. They're not just pushing paper. They're not just, they're basically doing, work that's leading to, achievements by the different departments going on there. So I'll close with this, as I hope that all the students pick me, if they haven't chosen a major yet, that they choose a major in my realm. I'm very happy to field any questions. And I think that, I'm happy to be part of this fundamental pillar of Brooklyn Tech.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark. I think that's very informative, and it's good to have the updates. And okay, so next speakers are hold on a second. Angie Kamas and Gitu Agawa. They are co-chairs of the school leadership team. Are you here? I think they should be here. Let me see. I'm not sure if they're here. No. We have invited them to pitch up. So then if I'm not, I don't, Mary, do you see them there? I don't see all the, because we have 140 people. It's difficult to find them.
I don't see
Okay.
both of them. It's their name is supposed to be follow the order, and it's their name is not on the list.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Does anybody want to ask Mr. Rodriguez questions while he's here?
He mentioned
is
5
on, so-
majors. He mentioned 5 majors. I missed the 1 major, and the civil, aerospace, and software, and the electric. What's the number 5, Mr. Rodriguez?
Okay, it's called mechatronics, and it's a mixture of mechanical and electronic engineering. It's basically robotics engineering.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rodriguez, there's a question in the Q&A, and for my information as well. What does CTE stand for?
Okay, so CTE stands for Career Technical Education. Let me just expand on that for like a minute or two. So Career and Technical Education is a program that's run by New York State. Happens all over the nation, but New York State has its very own particular program. And what it does is what we've done is we've designed a program that's in compliance with New York State that proves that we have teachers who have industry experience or industry certifications. In other words, that they have licenses, be it an architectural license, be it that it's a electrical engineering, professional engineering license, be it they passed an industry certification like a CompTIA for software engineering. But they have, they have work experience too that they can lean on and bring into the classroom and sort of infuse that industry-related experience into our pedagogy, into our educational experience for our students. It also means that we've identified a sequence of coursework, so most of the electives that you find in the majors, that have been designed so that they get progressively more rigorous, and they lead to ultimately the students taking a certification, an industry-like certification at the end of their time here at Brooklyn Tech. So what does that mean? That means for some people, it's taking an AutoCAD test showing that you're a certified user, that you have a rudimentary, you have some skills in AutoCAD or Inventor or Revit, or it means that you have, you've passed an electronics engineering exam, you've passed a software engineering, a cybersecurity exam or something like that. So when you come out of Brooklyn Tech, not only are you off to college with a really good foundation in a technical education, but you also have career credentials, right, that will allow you to be very competitive in the job market, even before you've taken one college course. It also gives rise to, what we have is called an articulation agreement, right? What that means is you'll have your students, if they enroll in a CTE major, have the opportunity to take courses at Brooklyn Tech, and their courses, because they're so rigorous and they're so valuable and based in industry and college, at the college level, that most colleges will give them credit for it, right? So, like for instance, we have for the software engineering program, LIU will basically take, I think, like almost 5 or 6 courses. They'll say, hey, you have credit for those 5 or 6 courses because you've done that kind of work at Brooklyn Tech. And for a lot of our students, that means almost a whole year or a whole semester, off of their college, off the time at college, which is good financially too as well. So there's a lot of advantages to being part of a CTE program. And so again, that stands for Career and Technical Education Program. And what we do is we stay compliant with this program by making sure we have teachers that are grounded in industry. We make sure our courses are aligned with what the labor market needs, so that we're constantly retooling things to make sure that the things that your students or your children are learning is grounded and relevant to them, so that they are competitive in the workforce. Even though we know that most of them are going to be going to college, but me personally, I want our students to be able to get that internship freshman year, not have to wait to their junior or senior year in college to really have a good grasp of the industry that they choose to go into.
Tiffany, can you see the Q&A?
Yes, somebody asked, how are CTE internships obtained and when? And there's another question similar. It says, what is the path to getting an internship? What teacher or advisor helps with this?
Okay, so my first best advice is when you're a sophomore, and if you're a sophomore right now, or if you're a parent of a freshman right now, next year, you will be making a decision, your child will be making a decision on the major. So the best way to do this is to choose a CTE major, right? And on the list of the 18 plus majors that we have at Brooklyn Tech, there's 8 of them that are CTE endorsed. In other words, that they will give you access to these internships. And once you're in that program, once you're part of one of those 8 majors, you'll have a work-based learning coordinator, you'll have the teachers, you'll have the AP like myself, sort of guiding the students through the process. So automatically, the students will be interviewed by someone in our CTE office or CTE department who will try to find a match for them in terms of an internship. So that's another reason another plus for joining a major that has a CTE endorsement, is that you get that extra bit of support. And that support comes from New York State, New York City. It comes from industry partners who are donating money because they really they really understand the value of what our students are learning. And, basically that comes from the department itself, because we are people born of industry and into education. So my advice is to take advantage of those services, is to pick one of those majors.
There's another question. It says there's a certificate that the ninth graders get from a college. Sorry to be so vague. Do you know about it? And I believe they're talking about DDP.
Yes, yes. So you're talking about DEP. So this also falls under, one of those advantages of having, CTE certified programs at Brooklyn Tech. So RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, has agreed that because our coursework in DDP, Design, Drafting, and Production, which is equivalent to their course called Introduction to Engineering Design, they have said, hey, if your students score well enough on their final exam and they get a score, a grade score from the teacher, I believe of an 85 and above, that we're willing to give them college credit. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you apply to, there's a form you fill out that you give to RIT. It's been placed, all the sophomores in CSP have been given that form. So that usually comes out towards the beginning of the year. So you've been given a link. It's a link to a form that you sign up for with with Rochester Institute of Technology. It costs $225. Unfortunately, there are no financial aid waivers. $225 for roughly a 3-credit college course is a pretty good deal. I mean, it is $225 with non-zero, but 3 credits at RIT would be several $1,000s. So the students will receive credit for an Introduction to Engineering Design course. They don't necessarily have to go to RIT to use those credits, and they don't necessarily have to go into a technology or engineering course to get those credits, but they have a transcript from Rochester Institute of Technology that says they have taken a course and received 3 credits for it, and their grade is an A or a B or a C, whatever, depending on how well they scored. So it's not just DDP. As a matter of fact, it turns out that we have a civil engineering and architecture course, we have a digital electronics course, we have an aerospace engineering course. So we have several courses that in the course of the CTE program, as the students become juniors and seniors, that if they elect to pay the $225, they can get several credits already, from Rochester Institute of Technology, which is a great institute, a great engineering school. And they'll have that advantage which they can put on their college applications. And also they can transfer those credits to wherever they go if they choose not to go to RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. A lot of other institutions will take those credits. There's the other question about, so the CTE internships, I believe I mentioned that, they come by de facto as being part of one of the CTE majors. So there's 8 majors that have CTE endorsements. I'm in charge of 5 of them. I'm in charge, again, I'll just go through the list real quick. I'm in charge of aerospace, civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechatronics engineering, software engineering. Also, there's industrial design, there's the media major, and there's the architecture major, which are the 3 others, right? If you choose one of those 8 programs, those 8 CTE programs, then you will have access to those internships. And when they would happen, a lot of times they happen in the spring semester of your junior year. They could happen over the summer. They could also happen during your senior year as well. But we have a CTE team dedicated to working with the students to prepare them for these internships, making sure they have the soft skills necessary, such as interviewing, writing a resume, having to manage networking opportunities so that when you're around different people, how do you talk about what you're doing in school? How do you gauge someone's interest in your ability to, be an employee at a company, that sort of thing. So a lot of that, like I said, is sort of done automatically once you're in the major. We build it into our major courses.
Thank you. Tiffany, can you read other? I think
I just wanted to clarify because people are still asking in the chat. Please, this is why we had it.
No, I mean we cannot do that. Just let them, ask.
Yeah, I know. Please put it in the Q&A so we can keep up with the questions. In the Q&A, please put your questions in the Q&A. The chat should only be used to sign in. If you put your question in the chat, there's a chance that we won't see it.
Yeah, so that's a quick follow-up question is like, when is that interview? I think that's the last questions about that one, right?
So
yeah,
I just shut down the chat. So if we need to put it on for any reason, let me know.
Thank you.
Please don't let anybody in if they don't have their name. I keep on putting people in the waiting room.
Please make Mary co-host, and also the guest speakers can be co-host so they can see the question. But Tiffany, please go ahead and read the questions.
Yes, it was a quick follow-up. When is that interview?
Okay, so when students become part of the major, then that means they start taking courses in their junior year, and that's when we first have access to the students and we say, okay, you're a part of the CTE world. So that usually happens at some point during your junior year, and our team coordinates when that happens between the different classes and courses. So your students will get contacted. We'll say, hey, please come visit visit one of us, and we'll speak. We'll talk about we'll talk about your skills, where you want to fit in, and that sort of thing. So that's built into our coursework. And again, I can't speak enough about it's a great program. I think students should really strongly consider it, because even if there's a topic that they're not entirely sure, or a major they're not entirely sure about, we're also going to get a chance to basically try it out for free, right? Many students go on to college, they pick a major, they get a degree in it, and they say, oh, this is not for me. But here you have the opportunity to actually, work in the field, right? Talk to people who have worked in the field, and find out as much information as you can before you've even selected your college.
Someone asked, their son is a junior in civil, but he has not yet had an internship. So who should they see to get him an internship? They would love one for the summer.
We'll be contacting that child, shortly. No worries. There's about, I've got to say, I think there's like about 860 junior students at the moment. So, it takes us some time to get to everybody, but we will get to that student. We have a work-based learning coordinator. There's a QR code on the first floor. There's a QR code outside my office, or actually in the window of my office, which is 2E15. But you can look that up in the Brooklyn Tech website, or have your child just look me up in the Brooklyn Tech website. But they can find out more information there about when the actual interview will happen. But their internships can range. Like I said, internships can happen as early as the spring of your junior year, of course, because we want to make sure that your children have some skill that they can contribute right away, because we don't want to put them in an internship situation where they're just sitting there doing nothing, just watching somebody. We want to make sure that they're really actively involved and are contributing to some sort of goal, and making progress that way. So most internships will happen, like I said, they'll start junior year, spring semester. They can happen over the summer, and they also happen a lot in the senior year as well. So not to worry if you haven't heard anything just yet. We are getting to everybody.
Could sophomore students receive college credits for the AP Computer Science class they're taking right now?
Sure. I mean, AP, this is more of an AP question. So the College Board Advanced Placement, the way that works is that you get a score from 1 to 5. Typically, if you get a 3 or above, that's considered passing. And some universities will tell you, okay, that's worthwhile to get a credit. Now, the only issue with that is that that's up to each university. So it's impossible for me to say, until you've actually enrolled in a university and you told them, hey, I've taken this AP college course, so AP Computer Science Principles, I received, let's say, for instance, I received 4 on it, then it's up to the college to decide whether or not they take that credit. The difference between that and articulation agreement is that you have the transcript in hand. It says, from Rochester Institute of Technology, you have earned these 3 credits. And it's more likely that even if the credits aren't accepted in terms of like whatever their name of the course is, so if maybe the college doesn't accept it as an introductory to engineering design course, but they accept it as an elective. So you're more likely to get the 3 credits, if you get credits that way. I'm not saying you're not unlikely to get 3 credits from the AP, but it's a different approach to awarding college credits to students. But yes, if you get a 3 or higher, typically some schools will give you college credit for it. I mean, I'll tell you, there's some cases where if you get an AP, I myself got a 5 on the AP calculus test at another school, and my engineering school said, no, you still have to take AP calculus, you have to take, calculus. So there's some schools that may, regardless of how well you do on the test, you'll have to take the college course.
Okay, thank you. So if you don't know how to see the Q&A box, it's click more. That's one item called more. Click it, and then you will see Q&A. Yeah, go ahead, Tiffany.
There's another question. How early can students focus on their courses for CTE, especially for freshmen?
Okay, so freshmen, when you're taking that DDP course, right, the Design for and Digital design for digital production, is a CTE course. So that already, scoring great on the PLTW test, which is a project lead the way exam that your students will take at the end of the year, the freshman year, doing well in that exam, making sure you get an 85 or higher so that you are eligible for those RIT credits, which would go a long way. And if you, in your sophomore year is the AP Computer Science Principles course, being successful in those two courses, like I said, those two courses are part of those industry certified courses in the CTE majors that happen later on in junior and senior year. So if you want to make sure that you're well equipped and you're doing well in that, those two courses are, of course, you should focus on all your classes, but those two courses are included as what we call the CTE sequence. And the CTE sequences are the courses that you must take to receive the CTE endorsement. And DDP, for I think 7 of those 8 majors, DDP is one of them. And for the software major, the computer science principle is the other one.
Someone asked, is this an engineer training certificate?
So there's not something per se called with that title, the engineering training certificate, but there is, this CTE endorsement, what it does is it means several things, right? And of course, obviously you have to look at it through the lens of your students' holistic picture of what they've done and what they've accomplished at Brooklyn Tech. And I'm going to tell you, just by going to Brooklyn Tech, they're accomplishing a lot. So you should definitely all be very proud of your children, and that reflects too on the PA organization. But what happens is the students will receive a CTE endorsement, which means they've taken courses in one of the majors that are related to industry, that are grounded in labor needs, right? So that they're taking courses that people need, have a need for in terms of the employment opportunities. It also means they get a certification at the end. Now, this certification, this is maybe where that question comes from, could be different things. Okay, so if you're a civil engineering major, you're probably going to get a certification in surveying and concrete testing. If you're a software engineering major, you're going to take a precision like computer science fundamentals and perhaps a Python or cybersecurity certification, right? If you're taking the aerospace major, then you're taking the FAA grounds person general flight knowledge test. So you are actually going a long way to getting a pilot's license. So you are receiving these industry credentials, which are recognized by industry people before you even walk out the door at Brooklyn Tech. So it's not per se one particular engineering certificate or engineering beginning certificate, but this is an actual certification, depending on which major you choose, that that shows that you're ready to work in the industry.
Someone asked if a freshman can come speak with you.
Sure, my doors are always open to all students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I always enjoy speaking with students. I mean, I myself am a career switcher. I've worked in engineering. I've worked in Wall Street. I've worked as a teacher, now as an assistant principal. So I've attended, have several college degrees in technology and engineering in the STEM area. So I'm always open to talking through different scenarios with students and making sure that and also making sure that they themselves know how to research, what their interests are, right? So it's not just about like, me telling them what's interesting or what's good. How can they look at a college website and determine like what interests them? So sure, please, have your students come. I'm in room 2E15 if anyone wants to write that down. But I know that's a lot of information for the meeting. But have your students look me up in the directory, and they'll definitely find me.
Someone said, how many hours are required for the CTE certifications and work-based learning? Also, we never received the final score from our DDP teacher, even though we asked several times. Can we still get this score?
Sure. So let's go with the more thing about the score. The guidance counselors now should have the scores. Recently, I just released those scores to guidance counselors. So ask your students to ask your child to check with the guidance counselor, and if the guidance counselor doesn't have it, I'm sure they can find it through me, and I can have someone give it to them. So because the teachers, I mean, it's one of the scores that we stored in one place, and that's it. So have them check with the guidance counselors. As of, I would say, about a month ago or so, I've released those scores to the guidance counselors. Now, the hours for the work-based learning coordinator, the work-based learning experience. So typically students need about 54 hours, 50-ish hours, 54 hours of experience. And sometimes that happens, at an internship location, at a site location. So you go work somewhere. Sometimes it happens in school as well. There's a lot of other opportunities too. So if students are concerned about, visiting another place, or they don't have the time to go, let's say, commute to another borough or anything like that, we're very aware of that, and we're very cognizant of that, and we want to make the situation more equitable for everybody. So what we do is we have a lot of what we call challenges. So what we'll sometimes have is we'll have somebody from industry come visit tech, and the kids will be involved in a project while they're here after school. So that's another opportunity there, and that happens occasionally at Brooklyn Tech. But for the most part, we get most of our students to 54 hours, and that's usually not an issue. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. We have a wonderful work-based learning coordinator who works miracles and has tons of years of experience. And we have a great CTE team. I partner with Gus Trombetta, who's the other, who's in charge of the 3 other CTE programs, and is just a wonderful person to work with. And we really are, we really are dedicated to making sure the students in these programs have a great experience.
So the teacher has the second part of the second question is also we never received the final score from our DDP teacher, even though we asked several times. Can we still get the score as opposed to the?
Yes. So I mentioned that at the beginning that I mentioned at the beginning of the question was that you reach out to the counselors. The counselors should have the scores. Recently, I just gave access. I just compiled those scores together and gave them to the counselors. Now, if the counselor has a problem, just tell the counselor, email me, and I'll work to get that score.
Okay, does this relate to EIT certification?
No, not per se. So that's like an engineering and training certificate. That's a very specific certificate, and depends. So every major will have a different, a different certification that they take. Students can take more than one certification. So if they qualify and they do a great job and they can prove that they can handle more certifications, they can. And EIT, I'm there. I don't know if any students have taken the EIT certificate, and that's a little trickier because that sort of leads to, that's part of a PE license. So usually it's more reserved for students who are in a college program, and but it's similar in that sense. But however, it's not like an apprenticeship type certification. Some of these certifications are legitimate industry certifications. So, like for instance, if you're writing blueprints, right, you have to have some level of certification, right? If you're doing electronics engineering, you have to have at least some industry recognized certification that you passed an exam that shows that you're competent at designing certain electrical circuits. So it's different. It's different because the EIT certificate, which I know personally just from my engineering days, is something more that you find in university, and it's more part of your professional engineering degree. Professional engineering certificate credential.
Okay, I have two questions, a few questions about juniors. When will civil juniors get a CEA teacher? And if a junior failed DDP, can they still qualify for CTE?
Okay, so great news is that we have our junior level CEA teacher on their way very shortly. So you should see them definitely, hopefully before Thanksgiving break, maybe just after the Monday we get back from Thanksgiving break. So I know that that's been a staffing concern, and some parents have voiced concern, but I've reached out to those parents individually. I've actually personally taught some of that course, being an engineer myself. So actually, the students have had some interesting lessons on topics that are related to engineering projects. I have a lot of project experience. So, but we have a dedicated CE teacher on their way, very shortly. Now, the other question I believe was I'm sorry, repeat that second question.
If a student is a junior who failed a DDP, can they qualify for CTE?
Sure. So I'd like to talk to the student, personally, because we can try to come up with a system, a way of making up those credits. I'm not going to say it's impossible. Definitely, it's more difficult, but that's not impossible. We'll have to come up with a way for that person to make up those credits. There's no, usually there's no summer school for DDP and that kind of thing. So that's okay. have that student come to me and we'll talk it over and we'll work out a plan to see if we can make it happen.
Okay, a few more questions.
Right.
Is it too late for current 11th graders to apply for engineering internships? And also, are internships available for rising juniors?
Okay, so the question about it's too late. So to answer that specifically, you have to be part of the CTE program, right? So you have to be one of those 8 majors. So at the end of your sophomore year, you would have to have decided to choose either the aerospace, the civil, the electrical engineering major, the mechatronics, the software engineering major, the industrial design major, the media major, or the architecture major. You have to have chosen those 8 majors, right? Because those are the CTE branded majors, that wind up with endorsement. So that's so like if you're let's say you're a sophomore and you chose something like LAS, like unfortunately, yeah, you can't get an engineering internship, right? If you chose, the physics or the mathematics majors, like those don't end in a CTE certification. So you wouldn't be able to apply for those engineering internships. But the application process, rest assured, we take we usually take the first step. So we reach out to I know the students are probably anxious and say, why haven't I gotten called down or why haven't I gotten that? What we do is we vet a lot of the opportunities that our students get and we make sure that they're quality experiences. So what we do is we get internship opportunities, we sort out, we figure which students have the strongest chance to have a good experience there because of their coursework, because of the work they've actually done with the courses. And then we reach out to students when we know we have something solid. So again, if you haven't heard anything, don't panic. Don't think that, something's not going to happen. There's no, don't go crazy and think there's a rush. That's going to happen organically, and we're going to make sure that your student has a great experience. And I've got to say, I speak to the students constantly. I speak to the people in the industry. I'm still involved in a lot of the industries that work close with our CTE programs, and our students are really well qualified, and they have a wonderful time. And a lot of our partners are just head over heels in love with our students.
Okay, is forklift certification one of the CTE courses? And if so, when is that offered?
No, unfortunately, there's no forklift certification. So if you want, the best, I would find there's a lot of information on the website of Brooklyn Tech website, and you look at the different majors, and you'll see if there's a major that's associated with the CTE endorsement. Usually those majors have on their flyer like a silver symbol, something like that. But you'll see the different courses that you take depending on each major. So I can tell you, so for instance, if you take software engineering, you're going to take a course in Linux and database and SQL and Python and machine learning. You'll take a web development course. You'll take a cybersecurity course. You'll take a Java course. And then you'll learn about the certificate you take at the end of that. If you take the civil engineering major, that's the one we talk about a lot, but that's a well-developed one. You'll take a civil engineering and architecture course. You'll take a statics course. You'll take a surveying course, and you can learn a lot of those courses on the website, the Brooklyn Tech website. And of course, again, you'll be making these decisions, or some of your children will be making decisions in their sophomore year. Attend the major fairs. There's a great wealth of information because they get to speak to they get to speak to peers, right? They get to speak to other students who are going through the major and can tell them firsthand what the experience is like. They can answer the questions about what's it like to get an internship? How long did you wait? And it's very, very important. And when it comes time for a major fair, visit these CTE majors. I mean, you'll see how dedicated and how passionate these students are about these majors. And then you'll see firsthand, and that'll help you make a decision.
Okay, one more question. How do you screen and select the internship company? Is there a monitoring system to ensure the working environment is safe for high schoolers, regardless of their gender, race, or cultural background?
That's a wonderful question. I'm glad somebody asked that, because there's a long and a crazy vetting process, a good one, a very thorough one. So it's not only done by us as a school, it's done by the state, and it's done by the city. So we have multiple eyes looking at this and multiple checks and balances to make sure that nothing's crazy going on at the work sites. We also have spot checks. So we'll have somebody actually come in and visit randomly, unannounced, and say, okay, hey, let's see these 5 students at Brooklyn Tech. Let's see how they're doing. You know, also we also have a lot of check-ins with the students. So there's a lot of screening part. You don't have to worry about the vetting, and there's also a lot of us, you know, being involved with the students and making sure that their experience is going, you know, as planned and going well. So we do a lot of spot checks, and we're constantly speaking with the students to make sure that everything's going well. But rest assured, there's, you know, New York State and New York City has vetted these programs. A lot of the times these companies are receiving money from New York City to pay for the children's salary. So therefore, there's a lot of eyes on these companies. So to make sure that your children are safe. You know, we would never send anybody to a workplace that's not safe, and simply that's not acceptable. That, you know, we wouldn't send anybody to a hostile workplace or anything like that. You know, we want our students are going to be future leaders, right? And they need to have a really good first experience so they can see, you know, what they want to do in the future in terms of, you know, being leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we all the questions around about that are, let me see, is there one more?
Oh wait, one just came in.
Yeah, one more. Okay,
Are students credited for internships outside of BTHS, for example, software engineering company?
So when it comes to credits, I mean, you know, students need to complete the 54 hours for the CT endorsement. So that's one place where they receive credit. They also, a lot of times there's a stipend or a monetary, you know, there's a salary involved, right? So they're actually earning money. So there's no credit, like you're not getting college credit for your internship, but you know, that's something you put on your resume. You say, I worked at, you know, Con Edison for 2 months at an internship working on this project, right? We have students working with Amazon. We have students working in very small startup companies that are running they're running technology departments. They're helping, you know, being part of their infrastructure. So a lot of that's more about their, you know, building their resume and building their college application.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you answered all the questions about, you know, the major. So there are 3 questions unanswered, but I will leave them to Mr. Newman and Mary. So for you, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for your interest. It's really great to see passionate parents, you know, really, really focused on their kids getting the best experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move to the next speakers are our SLT co-chairs. They are here now. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Terrific. So nice to see everybody. So my name is Angie Cometh, and I'm one of the co-chairs for the SLT. My other co-chair, Geethu Agarwal, is unable to make it today, so I'm going to represent for both of us. And so what I wanted to do is just give you a sense for what we've been focused on so far this year. We've met 3 times in September, October, and November. And so I can give you a sense of the conversation and what we've covered, as well as what we're planning to do for the rest of the year. I'm happy to take questions, but also want to recognize that Mia and Tiffany are among other parents who are part of the SLT, and so certainly we look forward to kind of really strong and good partnership with the PTA, and I think there's lots of kind of mechanisms and avenues for things that are on your mind to be represented in this group. So if that works, I don't have slides, so I'll just share out verbally what we've been focused on. We are still making some decisions in terms of priorities for our focus. So I think in a subsequent meeting, I'm super happy to come back and share some more specifics. But briefly, for folks who are new to this, the senior leadership team, the SLT, is made up of about 18 members. That includes parents, teachers, and students, as well as some alumni. And we meet on a monthly basis. We're required to meet. Our minutes are posted, as well as our agendas. So far, you know, since we kicked off this year, we did a deep dive most recently into the budget. Principal Newman helped us understand kind of a line-by-line overview of the budget, of open positions, of vacancies, of just the process in terms of making decisions, and kind of what the allocation looks like. We have also covered the full review of the student experience survey. So last year we had an outgoing student senior survey, and that was really interesting in terms of just understanding, and it was quite positive, frankly, in terms of what students felt that was helpful, what they received. I think kind of an overwhelming 85%, just thinking about the conversation with Mark, an overwhelming, I want to say over 85% of students felt that their majors and their experience within their majors was kind of out of a scale of 1 to 5 was either a 4 or a 5 in terms of high quality, meaningful, helpful to their experience getting into college, and something that was incredibly important to their development. There were many questions on the surveys, and so one of the priorities for the SLT going forward will be to continue to refine. This was the first year that we had that expansive of a senior survey, and it's really helpful information in terms of understanding what works, where our students need support, and kind of what are the most helpful aspects of the school, and where we need to make some investments or think about kind of other opportunities to continue to support. So an important goal of the SLT will be to continue that survey, probably refine it down as well. We also felt that it was important from a student experience that hearing feedback as students are exiting and graduating is really helpful and wonderful, given those students have perspective and have been through all the years. But we also felt like it might be important to introduce a student survey earlier in their time, so that we have an ability to potentially make some adjustments based on feedback from students. And so that'll be another, I think, area of focus for the senior leadership team. And then finally, each month we try to understand a little bit more in terms of how our students are doing on some critical components like AP exams, as well as some of the pilots that we've introduced, like the freshman year AP Bio work. And so at our last, yes, 2 meetings ago, we reviewed kind of AP results, and I think it's just incredibly impressive, the performance, quite frankly, of students in both that pilot and AP Bio. Majority of students actually did better as freshmen in AP Bio. Again, there's a lot of self-selection. Students were opting in based on criteria from their 8th grade year, but the AP Bio kind of scoring in the 4 and 5 range was higher for students that were freshmen coming in with a lot of support. It was slightly better than the average for students who were taking AP Bio later in their high school career. But what is, I think, very, very important from just a school leadership perspective is that while I think across the board nationally, and certainly in the rest of New York City public schools, there were declines in COVID in terms of the subsequent years on average performance on the AP tests, meaning the number and percentages of students who are getting mastery versus top scores or lower scores. And I will say that I want to say across the board in every AP that was offered, there's been an uptick. There's been an improvement from the prior 2 years performance, which I think kind of bodes well in terms of just making sure that any of those performance slides that I think were experienced by schools across the nation and certainly in New York are starting to kind of revert back to pre-COVID levels. So that gives you a sense of some of the priorities and issues that we cover from a senior leadership team perspective. The last thing that I wanted to raise, and again, I'm happy to take questions, though really I do feel like I'm reporting out, and a lot of what we do is certainly the purview of Principal Newman, but I wanted to just end with 5 of the priority areas that the school leadership team voted in last year. So last year's SLT voted in these 5 priorities, and this current year we'll be looking to kind of refine them and focus in on making sure that we've got goals against some of these priorities, that we've got budget allocated, and that we have an ability to view progress. And so I wanted to kind of share the 5 priorities. Again, I think that once these get fully finalized, they will be on the website. It's public. We have an obligation and a duty to share up our goals and priorities as a school to the DOE and to the state. So again, this is very public information, but we're probably about a meeting or 2 away from finalizing everything. But here it goes in terms of the 5 priorities for the school. So the first one is that all students learn to read well. And I know that that sounds basic, but the idea behind all students learning to read well is that there's both a culture of reading and a community of reading that's really promoted at the school. We don't want to be just the kind of STEM focused school. We want to also be a school that really acknowledges the importance of reading, culture, humanities, and that we really promote that throughout the school. And then we also wanted to make sure that for students that have special, that have IEPs and other support needs, that we're really meeting those needs and helping to create that culture of reading and making sure that the performance on reading assessments is strong. The second priority is that all students are physically and emotionally safe. Very, very important, obviously core to kind of our goals as a school community. And the sub goals under this were really around having an advisory and looking at continuing to strengthen the advisory function so that we're able to understand where there are issues that have to be addressed with and that we have kind of alert systems to make sure that students kind of physical and emotional safety is top of mind and that we're really addressing things in a timely manner. The third priority is that all students have a high quality academic experience. The two sub goals under this are making sure that there are more electives. So again, our school is wonderful in terms of its focus, and we want to also make sure that students have the ability to experiment and explore through electives. And again, there's trade-offs involved with decisions like that, but the school community, the SLT last year felt that looking into more electives was important. The other aspect of all students having a high quality academic experience is making sure that our English language learners, folks for whom English is not their kind of native first language, are fully supported and have a full and rich academic experience. Our fourth priority is that all students are college and career ready and that all students have a strong path to economic security. And so making sure that we are really looking into opportunities like we just talked about with CTE, but also making sure that we are doing the right advisory and making sure that our students are really understanding what their options are around colleges and careers, and that through the exploration of things like internships and more available internships, we'll be better preparing our students. And then finally, the fifth one, and this is really important, is that we were redesigning the system to be more inclusive for parents and families. And the goals around this were really both focused, I'd say, on communication. So firstly, making sure that our website is up to date, is understandable, and is clear in terms of both information and action for families and parents. And then secondly, that we are really focusing in on ensuring that we're being very inclusive and responsive to our multilingual families. And so those are, I know I ran through that a lot. And again, as these get finalized, we'll be able to share them in print. But just to recap, the 5 priorities are making sure that all students learn to read well, all students are safe emotionally and physically, all students have a high quality academic experience, all students are college and career ready with strong paths to economic security, and finally, that we're redesigning the system to be more inclusive for families and parents. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what we're doing. Again, it's a real honor and privilege to be able to serve on that committee, to be able to offer advice and feedback as parents and others to the senior administration. So I'm super happy, Mia and Tiffany, if it makes sense to take some questions. Otherwise, I'm very happy, Geethu and I would be very happy to attend future meetings just to give an update on where we are with these priorities and how we're tracking along in terms of progress.
Thank you, Angie. That's an amazing update. Yeah, it's very clear and informative. And I don't see any questions for you, but just the parents keep praising you, like, okay, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Yeah, so that's a problem from parents. Yeah, thank you so much for walking through all of that. Yeah, so thank you so much. And I definitely will want you to be here next time, next PA meeting. So I think it's good, for parents to get to know what SLT is doing. So yeah, do come to next meeting and we'll put it on the schedule. Okay, put it on the schedule.
Excellent.
Yeah, agenda. Okay, thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. And Mary, and I'm not sure because Newman here?
Yes.
Great. Welcome, Newman. I'm not sure. Mary, do you have any update? I think Mary is. Yeah, I see David Newman. So
I should be here. Do you see
Can you
me?
hear me?
yes.
Show self view. There we are. See, I'm here.
Great.
And
So
you hear and see me as well, Mia?
yes, I can see you and I hear you. Cool.
All right. First, there's 3 questions in the chat. I'm picking them up really quickly. One from an iPhone about your students' absences. Just email me and we'll talk about that. Another one is about athletics and school teams. Here, that funding is being done. That's absolutely not true. Probably have more funding in athletics and PSAL team than ever before. And then lastly, there was a question about absences, also clubs and an injury. So Millie, email me and we'll address that.
Okay, so as you know, we've been doing the parent-teacher conferences. If you were not able to get a slot with your teacher, because there's a lot of students and there's a lot of teachers and not enough slots for every teacher, please, you can email the teacher through Jupyter or through the faculty directory on the website, and you will be able to, they will get back to you and you can set up an appointment outside the conferences. I did have a couple of Zoom meetings demonstrating the software this year. I will do that again in the spring. I think that was really useful for people. And I'll probably do a lot more of them because I think it's not completely intuitive, that software. I had some office hours also, just for like a general chat with parents a couple weeks ago. And then I'll have that probably again the first week of December and probably like every other week after that. But as you know, I'm always available to talk by phone or email, and I can call you back if you can't get me. And that's kind of it. I don't really have that many updates at this point.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mr. Newman. I think we have answered all the questions. So okay, room number.
The room number of Mr. Mark Rodriguez, please repeat his room number.
It's a 2E15.
It's my office. Got the office. I never wonder what my office is.
2E15.
That's funny.
Okay, I think we answered all the questions. And some parents, if you put your questions in the chat box, please please type it in the Q&A because I cannot get back. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of chat the conversation there, so I cannot get back to that. So if you want your answer to be answered, if you want your question to be answered, please yeah, type it in the Q&A.
I think I got them from the chat.
Okay.
Everyone knows that the fall play is coming up.
29th,
Yonkers.
30th,
Yeah.
December 1st.
A Night in Yonkers. What's it called, David? Lost in Yonkers. Lost in Yonkers, chimed in my husband in the background, rolling his eyes. Lost in Yonkers, 28, 29, and December 1st. So please come. These are always terrific, and it's great to see your students on stage, whether it's your child or not.
Someone is asking, what's the process for clubs to request funding from the PA? I went through this at the beginning of the meeting. I know some people joined late. Every club has an advisor, an adult advisor who's also a staff member, and the funding goes through the advisor, and they contact CTC and the school, and that's the process. It doesn't come from students and parents. So the club advisors and executives, they're aware of the needs of the club, and they put in the request, and the school has their budget, the PA has their budget, and we review and we allocate accordingly.
Yes.
Any
Thank
other
you for adding on that.
questions?
I don't see any question in the Q&A. Mr. Newman, do you want to add something? Do you have
I don't really have
anything?
anything. I'm just gonna come take questions. If anybody had any, obviously everybody knows about parent-teacher conferences
Yes.
coming up. And look, the conferences are short and brief by design. Obviously we have a lot of parents that want to speak to us. But just know this is not obviously your only opportunity to speak to your teachers. You could set up an in-person conference that is lengthier. You could reach out to a teacher and have a phone dialogue, have an email dialogue. So this is just to give you a little snapshot of how your kid's doing, how maybe they can improve, and just give you just a little glimpse into how things are going. Yeah, and so that's what it's really for. If there's some in-depth issues, you probably want to set an appointment after parent-teacher conferences with the teachers that maybe you talk with over parent-teacher conferences to have a more in-depth conversation.
Yeah. So, Tiffany, do you want to? If I don't see any questions open, so I think we can go to the next one. Is the concluding
Okay.
reminder?
Yes. I was waiting for a question. Someone said they couldn't type it in the Q&A, but
Jane, you can just say your question if you want. You can speak your question.
Quick question. Next PA meeting is a Thursday, December 21st. Is that right?
yes, we'll go over that or the conclusion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Tiffany, I think you can go ahead. I think that's some typos on the slideshows. And yeah, on the slides. I will correct that. But I think you can go ahead. That's the.
Okay, well, someone asked, when will sophomores get Naviance access?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Okay. That is a good question. I think freshmen just got access. Juniors and seniors should get access, and I guess I need to follow up about 10th grade. So give me a little bit of time, and I'll announce when they're getting access versus an email to the community.
Okay. Oh. So now we can move on to concluding reminders.
Wait, I'm
Tiffany.
sorry. It says for Mr. Newman.
What?
For the freshman, $25 one-time club fee. I believe that's the sticker.
Yeah, that's the sticker, but it is a one-time fee. I don't know what the question is, but yes, that is true that there is, you do obtain a sticker showing that you've paid the participation fee, and that goes to literally finance clubs across the board. It is a one-time fee that you only pay in 9th grade. How do you pay it? I think you could pay through the SGO store.
Cash only.
Was that?
Cash only. Cash. They need to bring cash to the SGO store.
Okay, thank you. I thought you were saying somebody's name. Sorry. Yeah, it goes into the student, literally the student activities account.
It basically helps pay for the club fees and the club budgets besides the PA budget for the, like, for 4 years, for every club, 4 years. That's one way they raise money. So
I think,
$25 for 4 years. If a student gets a new ID, they have a record of your paying for it, and you'll get a new sticker if you get a new ID.
Yep.
Okay, and there's a question that says, so the club team applying for funding can apply to the Alumni Foundation and the PA at the same time? No, is this a question for Mr. Newman or do I take it?
I think they're talking about the faculty grants.
Yes, those are different.
No?
Yeah, the faculty grant is different. The Alumni Foundation handles that, and we handle the other funding through the CTC. But they're both requested through the advisor on behalf of the students in the club.
So, as I understand, all the clubs or teams, they are not apply the funding like separately. They apply to the school, you know, and then PA and for the faculty grant, PA and the foundation, the Alumni Foundation, we work together to decide how much we will support each team. And for the club, for the club agency fees, that Mr. Newman will go through the application first and see what what kind of budget the school can support, and then PA will take care of the rest, of course, within our budget.
And the same parent is asking, what's the requirement for them to apply? Anybody can apply. Any club can apply. It doesn't mean they'll get approved. They'll get approved for the same amount, but any club that's registered through the school can apply. When did freshmen get Navient access? Was it for parents or students?
That's a good question.
It was after the freshman. Yeah, it was after the freshman college night. I don't know the date, but that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So maybe
I believe it's students. I believe students get the access, not the parents. If the parents want to use it, they have to share it with their kids.
Yeah.
No, is that wrong? Amy Mack is shaking her head.
So you can log in as a student first. Once your child get access, and you can add the parents. It's sort of like our Jupiter accounts. Once you get in, then you add the parents, and then parents then can get access from there on.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
No problem.
Any idea when Judith Jeremy will be returning to the school or begin given assignments in her absence?
Yeah, she should hopefully be returning on Monday. Dr. Jeremy, who's our assistant principal of social studies, had a pretty bad accident, and she's on the mend and not very mobile, and we're hoping that she'll be back on Monday.
Is there anywhere we can find the breakdown for the last year's Alumni Foundation showing where the money goes? This isn't in relation to the faculty grant.
I do have that list of where of every single dollar where it went. I don't see an issue with giving that out. I don't know what form we could do that. I'm not going to post it on the website, but we could figure that out. I'll talk to the Alumni Foundation and the PA and see, how we could maybe do that.
There's a question about, I believe it's the SGO. Only the students who are 18 years old qualified for running the SGO bank account. Is it correct? Is this correct?
I think you're misunderstanding what we're talking about. The SGO bank account is our bank account, the school's bank account. Like, kids don't have bank accounts, and so so if you're talking about the $25, the $25 goes in the SGO into the activities fund. but obviously the adults manage that. You know, it's a Brooklyn Tech bank account. It has nothing to do with kids or money they're not taking that money out. The $25 is to pay literally, it's like a 4-year payment to cover activities for 4 years. It's how we literally finance clubs.
So I think if we keep asking, we can probably answer all night. So so I think we probably need to set up a time. Mr. Newman, when do you want this meeting to end?
There's just a question about
So
busing
let's
and
take
transportation.
let's take question for 3 minutes. Okay, like if you have a question, please type in 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes we close all down, and then we'll do the conclusion because we cannot take all day all night. I don't want to take
I agree.
here all night.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it says, will the sports teams have buses for transportation, basically?
Yeah, we have buses. I mean, we spend a lot of money on buses. So I've actually shared an SLT. We're already like well over $100,000 spent on buses so far this year. So yeah, PSAL normally they take subways if they can. If they need a bus, if we're going somewhere, I don't know, Staten Island, Eastern Queens, we put them on a bus. All right, what else is there?
Last PA meeting, the AP who takes care of Naviance says sophomores will not be able to use it since the PA paid money for 3 grades of students. What is the problem for sophomores to join Naviance?
He already answered this. He's gonna put an announcement out about Naviance and figure out like who's getting access when. So you will get access to Naviance. And he will send, and Mr. Newman will send you a message about it. And after he talks to the college assistant principal, college advisory, Ms. Cuesta.
Any updates on the class size law?
When I get, I think I've spoken about this a number of times, but so here's the deal that the city is in year 1 of class size law, adhering to 25 kids in across the board in high school classrooms. The city already has 20%, and matter of fact, has already 40% of classrooms citywide already under the class size limits. So the first 2 years, not really an impact. But so far we haven't had to make any, so the idea is then in the 3rd year, which would be 2 years from now, 60% of schools, then and then in the year after, 80% of schools, and then the year after 100% of schools. So to be honest, I'm banking on the last year. So I'm going to be somewhere in that year of where 80% to 100% have to adhere. And then, once again, next year, there's really no impact on schools as we're already over 40%. So I'm really going to be looking at the year after to see where the rubber meets the road and see what the city's actually going to do. And so I have plans right now, just in case, in a number of scenarios, but I'm surely going to wait and see. We're not going to be the first school to go into that from 40% to 60% range 2 years from now. So for us, it's a 4-year out problem, but I already have plans, just in case.
Okay, last question is about Naviance in terms of freshmen who missed the presentation. How are they going to get access? I wouldn't say we can send that information out, but
yeah, I think there's a workaround, right? Can't you just go in and
I don't think they even have the website.
I think the children do.
Okay, I'll make sure that goes out right away. Okay.
Okay, thank you. We have all the questions answered.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Be well. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Tiffany, I will hand on to you. Do you want to do the concluding
Yes.
reminders?
Really quickly, so people can log off and have dinner. half day this Friday on November 17th. The schedule has been in the daily announcements. It's only first through fifth periods. If your child comes in second, they start second. If they come in third, they start third. Just follow the regular schedule from first to fifth period. The times are maybe different. They were in the daily announcements, but understand it's only the morning classes. 9th through 11th graders are getting out at 11:30, and seniors are getting out 10 minutes earlier at 11:20 to take their class pictures in the park. After school activities besides PSAL sports will be canceled on Thursday and Friday because of the conferences. And our next meeting is Thursday, December 21st at 6 p.m. on Zoom.
Oh, Tiffany, I think we have already talked about we are going to extend, postpone the meeting to later time. So
Yes,
we do
we'll
not have
follow up.
conclusion.
Some people have asked us if we can start at 7 because they're not getting, here on time. So if we change the time, we will email you in advance. We'll put it in Tech Talk. We'll put it in the reminder email, the link, the time, and the date.
So right now we do not have a conclusion,
Yeah,
to change
so the
the time.
e-board can discuss
Mhm.
it, and then we can go forward and email everybody in Tech Talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I think
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
have a good night.